Greetings, villains, vigilantes, heroes, and heroines. You're watching Project SuperVillain. I'll be your host today. I'm Killboss, and we're going to be checking out our personal top 5 games coming out in January 2023. So I'm not going to mess around here for too long. We're just going to get straight into the games because that's what you came here for. So let's roll.
Number 5, Forespoken.
Oh yes, Forespoken. I've seen a lot of divisive stuff about this game online, but I mean, it looks pretty cool. It's being developed by Luminous Productions and published by Square Enix. This one's coming out on January 24th of 2023. It's going to be for the PC and PS5 only, so I'm actually surprised that it's coming out for the PC, but it's a third-person action-adventure game. It's got a big focus on its combat, which a lot of people have been saying is like the main star of the show. It's the thing that is going to compel people to keep playing this game. The combat loop is apparently very addicting. The combat in this game is magic-based. There's a lot of magic spells that you're going to be using. Apparently, according to some sources, it's over 100 spells to be able to use. Multiple skill trees, too, that play into those spells, and all those skill trees are element-based, so, you know, water, fire, wind, earth, that kind of stuff, and you can mix and match your playstyle using these things. You can modify your skills and your spells and your magic. It's going to be pretty great for the customization that you can do, apparently, as far as combat is concerned. There's also going to be side quests and dungeons aplenty, so you'll have plenty to look forward to outside of just the main story beats. And I'm assuming there's going to be some environmental puzzles here as well. It's got a sort of God of War look to the style of the gameplay, so I'm assuming we can expect some similar mechanics there. But yeah, I mean, doesn't look exactly mind-blowing, but it does look pretty cool, and I'm sure that we're going to be giving it a try here. Probably on PC, because I don't think any of us have a PS5 yet. But yeah, we'll be playing this one. So yeah, check it out, Forespoken.
Number 4, Lone Ruin.
Well, we sure do love our isometric twin-stick shooters around here because we play a fucking ton of them, and Lone Ruin looks to be right up our alley. So it's coming out on January 12th of 2023, and this one's being developed by Cuddle Monster Games and is published by Super Rare Originals. I don't really recognize any of the games that they've done before. I've had a look in their catalog. It's not too many, but they all look pretty awesome and very competent, and I have a lot of high hopes for this game. It's got a lot of roguelike mechanics in it, so, you know, you're going to be expecting to be kind of starting mostly from scratch when you die. It's actually very Hades-inspired. It looks like it took a lot of inspiration from Hades. Not just in the way that the game plays and, like, the levels work, but in the way that you upgrade yourself and gain your skills and your weapons. But yeah, it just bears a striking resemblance to Hades, albeit it's got, like, a much more dark and sort of hellish vibe going on. Hades does take place in Hades, but it's still got a lot of brightness and pop to it. This one, while colorful, you can definitely tell is on the grimmer side. But definitely looking forward to seeing what Lone Ruin is like. It's coming out for the Switch and PC, again, January 12th, so if you like twin-stick shooters, bullet hell games, this is one you're going to want to keep your eyes on. On to the next one now, though.
Number 3, Vengeful Guardian Moonrider.
Oh, man. I saw some trailers for this one, and I was just like, gonna play that. Fucking gotta play that. So this one is also actually coming out on January 12th of 2023, being developed by Joy Masher and published by the Arcade Crew. This one's coming out for a few more systems. We got PS4, PS5, Switch, and the PC. So there will be a few different options if you want to get your hands on this one. And let me tell you, I really think you're going to want to. If you're a fan of 2D action platformers, this is going to be your kind of game. It's like a 16-bit style Super NES Ninja Gaiden inspired platformer. It looks very similar to the Ninja Gaiden style of gameplay. There's a lot of precision-based combat and platforming. It looks to be incredibly unforgiving in the combat, and it's got this wicked art style, like this cyberpunk art style in this dystopian universe. Absolutely incredible looking game. The soundtrack as well that you hear in the trailers fucking slaps, man. So this is one that absolutely up our alley again here. Definitely want to play this. It's giving me big time Cyber Shadow vibes, which if you remember Cyber Shadow, that was another similar Ninja Gaiden style game that had released in 2021 actually. That was an amazing game. So Vengeful Guardian Moonrider is definitely giving me the same kind of vibe that Cyber Shadow did. Just looks like an awesome, incredibly unforgiving, hack and slashing, 2D platforming, fuck everything up kind of game. Definitely going to play this one, but again, check it out on January 12th, 2023.
Number 2, Superfuse.
So yeah, I remember when I like a minute ago when I was talking about the twin stick shooters and how much we like them. Well, this is another one, and it also looks fucking rad. This one is coming out on January 31st, 2023, so right near the end of the month. It's developed by Stitchheads Entertainment, published by Raw Fury, and this one is actually going to be a Steam exclusive. It's only on Steam because it's coming out in early access, so I am a little bit wary about the early access label because that can be a big hit or miss for a lot of people, including myself. Been burned by that one before. But I do have faith in this game, just looking at the material that we're going to be getting for it so far. And some people have even gotten to play some builds of it and said it's actually fairly competent, and there's a lot there for players to do. But I'm hoping to see for myself when this game comes out on the 31st of January. But it is an isometric twin-stick shooter, as I mentioned. It's got a combination of Diablo-style gameplay, but the universe is very Borderlands-like. So it's a very apocalyptic, post-apocalyptic, but cyberpunky-looking universe, just with that Diablo-style gameplay, that isometric hack and slashing that we all love. It's also got a comic book art style, keeping in tune with the Borderlands-like universe, so like all the cutscenes look like they've been done like through comic book art, and the universe itself that you're playing through is all cel-shaded. So they're trying to keep that same comic book energy throughout the entirety of the experience. So it is a single-player and multiplayer game. You can do a lot of co-op PvE stuff with your buddies, and with all of those multiple classes that you get to play as, there's going to be many skills and powers to unlock and modify. There's almost unlimited possibilities, according to some sources, in just how much you can do when it comes to customizing the way that your class plays. In general, there does seem to be a high emphasis on customization in this game when it comes to your character. I'm not sure how far that goes with like their appearances and skins and stuff like that, but at least for when it comes to the gameplay and modifying your character's powers, it looks to be bar none. Like they spared no expense of making sure you have all of the options you could ever want. And just like putting all of that together into one package, it just makes it look fun as hell, man. So that's why we're down to play this. We're going to check it out. Again, like Diablo and Borderlands combined together, that sounds like a winning combination. So we're going to check this game out. Again, January 31st, 2023, so stay tuned for that. But on to our final game.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. What is this absurdity? What is this? This is a catastrophe. You can't just have a top 5 without an honorable mention mixed in there. Or 2. Yeah, I've got 2 I want to throw in here. Just call me the JRPG fairy, because I'm coming in here with a couple smasher JRPGs that Killboss missed here, but that's okay. I'm going to inform you before we get to our number 1. Let's check these out. Honorable mention, Piece Odyssey. So yeah, coming out January 12th, developed by Ilka and published by Bandai Namco. We've got Piece Odyssey. Looks to be a kind of a return to a standard JRPG formula, with one big twist. It's also a turn-based JRPG, should mention, but it's a different kind of turn-based. It's like on top of aiming for like a true JRPG style with all the different like interactions with players and random things throughout the universe, the typical tropes. This different thing I'm talking about, sorry to leave you in suspense, is a battle formula that's actually pretty different. I've not really heard of too many games that have used this before. Actually, I don't think I've heard of any, but I'm sure there are some that exist. Essentially, it spreads your characters out throughout the battlefield. Instead of having your entire party versus an entire party of enemies, and like a bunch of enemies jump in after you kill the first wave kind of thing, it's different. It's got you all spread out. So you got one character fighting like three enemies, another character over here fighting 3 enemies, another character over here fighting 3 enemies, and it kind of swaps throughout the battle. It's definitely a cool and unique looking system. I am more interested in playing this game just because of that system. It looks like it'd be more fun, and it honestly makes me want to start watching One Piece, because it's an anime that I have yet to brave. I haven't been watching it since I was a kid, so right now it's, you know, standing over 1,000 episodes long. That's pretty intimidating for somebody that hasn't watched any of it. But anyway, that's not the point of this video. So more about the game. You choose between 4 different characters on the battlefield, and you can swap in with your reserve characters on the fly. Not sure how many party characters you can get at one time, but there's quite a few in the One Piece universe, so hopefully they'll let you use a plentiful amount. You'll be playing as different characters, and if you are playing as these different characters while roaming around in areas, obviously, like, not all the game is fighting people. There's obviously roaming around towns and whatnot, as a typical RPG would have. So while you're roaming around the town, if you're swapping between your different characters, say you're playing as Zoro or Luffy, whoever, you'll get different interactions with the NPCs, which I find to be a really cool, you know, mechanic as well. honestly, they say they're aiming for a true JRPG, but these mechanics kind of separate them like a lot from those older ones. They're really good enhancements to the formula, if you ask me. But yeah, so it's also got this one thing that's not as great. It's got like a static save point system still, so it doesn't like auto save. I don't believe so. A little too classic in my opinion on that regard, but everything else seems to be a step forward in a JRPG department. But that being said, yeah, check out One Piece Odyssey on January 12th. Looks to be a good addition to the One Piece gaming universe. Honorable mention number 2, Fire Emblem Engage. Yeah, we couldn't leave this one out. This one is going to be probably the biggest release of January on top of this next one that we have. It's arguable which one's going to be more popular. But anyways, this one's coming out January 20th and developed by Intelligent Systems and published by Nintendo. Fire Emblem Engage looks to be another entry into the typical Fire Emblem game formula with a grid-based strategy JRPG formula as we should expect. The normal standard Fire Emblem formula returns. Basically anime chess. It returns with the typical Fire Emblem plot as well. There's like an evil dragon awakening and you and your allies need to embark on an epic quest. Yada yada yada. You know, like, it's just a typical plot, but it's got cool characters. You know, you're playing as representative of Crest toothpaste or Colgate. I don't remember which one's red, blue, and white, but yeah, you know what I mean. She looks like a toothpaste character. You can play as a male or female, I believe, in this game. But yes, so turn-based. It's also turn-based gameplay. Each character in your squad has unique skills and abilities. This is just typical Fire Emblem stuff. And there are usually different objectives in the game. Again, very typical. So it's not always just about killing the enemy in front of you, but 90% of the modes are basically that, in just a different way. So you have different objectives, either seizing a location, which honestly makes it so you have to defeat everyone in a specific spot. There's rooting, which is defeating just everybody in the entire map, including all the reinforcements that come. There's defeating a boss. There's survival and defense objectives. There's escape objectives, and every now and again there's some random and uncommon objectives that they just throw in a random objective in. I couldn't tell you, honestly, I'm not a Fire Emblem person, but this is something that I've been meaning to get into for a very long time. If only they dropped them in price every now and again, man, I would be more interested in getting them. But Fire Emblem Three Houses is impossible to find physically, and digitally it's always at like $80 unless you get a sale, which I should just pay more attention, I guess. Anyways, they have these things called Emblem Rings in the game too, and that summons the lords from Fire Emblem Past, so you can play as like Marth and some of the other like past characters that you might not be familiar with, or you might be familiar with. I'm not familiar with most of them because I don't really play the games. Of course, I know anybody that's in the Super Smash Bros. Universe, but that's about it. That being said, they each feature their different specialties, and you can either use them on their own, and they can use their abilities on their own, or you can combine them with your character, which is in this game called engaging. And when you engage with a lord, you get their different abilities on top of your own, and it essentially just combines your skills. But yeah, this game looks really, really cool. It's definitely looking like another banger Fire Emblem game. They're usually pretty good. They're usually well received. Even the one that they released last year, which was like a Dynasty Warriors spinoff, was well received. So yeah, it's a good universe to get into if you're interested in it. But that being said, let's move on to our number 1. Back to you, boss.
Number 1, Dead Space Remake.
I don't actually know if I really need to say too much here. Dead Space has become such an icon in the horror side of the gaming scene. I feel like everything that I could say has already been said and better by somebody else. But, the remake is coming out and there are going to be a few different things about it, so I suppose that we should go over a couple of those things. So one thing we're going to get off the table right now is that this is definitely a full remake and not a remaster. It is built from the ground up using brand new assets. It is a remake. So that's one thing, just to make sure that we are all on the same page. Many elements of the game are, according to the developers, going to remain the same, especially when it comes to the story beats, major story beats, things like that. Those aren't going to change, but there are going to be a lot of things that are going to be modernized and give us a lot of new features, like quality of life kind of stuff, I'm assuming. We're going to see when it comes out, but there will be a lot of modernizations made, but the core of the game is going to stay the same. That being said, there are still plenty of changes coming. One is that Isaac is now fully voiced. I know in Dead Space 2 and 3 he has a voice, but in the first game he was mostly mute beyond the occasional or side quests. That's another thing that they added to this. So there are going to be some side quests that'll play into the side characters story. I don't know if there's going to be new side characters, but I assume there will be, and obviously there will be returning ones that maybe you'll have to do quests for all of them or just some of them, but there are confirmed going to be side quests. There's also a new mechanic that they've added that sounds really interesting called circuit breakers, where basically you'll come to these branches in the ship where you will have to decide how to reroute the power, and you can either like reroute it to like the oxygen systems, but the lights stay off then because there's not enough power to run them, or you route it to the lights so you can see, but the oxygen power's down then. It's like a really cool kind of system like that that basically creates a stage hazard that you get to decide upon, and it'll totally change how you play through certain sections of the game. So I'm really interested to see how that plays out and how many different hazards that can create and the complications that come with it. It sounds like a really good survival horror mechanic that makes you think about how you're progressing, and I like that. In general, with things like that and other mechanics such as having secure areas that you'll only be able to access later on in the game, you know, returning when you have full clearance, this game is putting a much bigger emphasis on exploration to find the resources that you're going to need to survive and make sure you come out of this thing as unscathed as possible and as powerful as you fucking can be. So I appreciate that they're going to be reworking the maps and things like that to add some more emphasis on exploration, because I like when games make you poke around their worlds and you get to see all the different stuff that people have spent time building. So that's really cool to see that they're not going to be wasting any of that map space. I'm down for that. Obviously, we're going to be experiencing all of this in some very crisp HD graphics. You know, like this game, it goes without saying, it looks absolutely gorgeous. They're building it on the Frostbite engine, and that engine, man, it is still pulling its weight. It looks absolutely gorgeous. I'm sure it's gone through tons of revisions and stuff, but this Dead Space remake, when I look at the gameplay of it, I'm like, yeah, that looked good. That do look good. So, I mean, that's to be expected from EA, but, you know, man, they're really pulling their weight with this one. The developers, it looks fantastic. I gotta say, good job, guys. And finally, as a few other sources have pointed out, just like Dead Space back in 2008, which took a lot of inspiration from Resident Evil 4 at the time, this new Dead Space remake here now in 2022 is seemingly taking a lot of inspiration from the Resident Evil 2 remake, which, as of right now, if you ask me, that is like the standard for how you should do a remake of a game. There are a few things here and there that are out of place, but, like, I mean, all in all, can't complain. That's a solid 9 out of 10, right? So if you're going to take an example from anything to do a remake, it's Resident Evil 2. And again, don't know if that's confirmed or not, but a lot of sources are pointing that stuff out. So you know what, man, and I gotta say, I noticed the similarities myself too. So you give me an experience like that, and I'm even more down. So absolutely looking forward to Dead Space Remake. It was a game I played a lot as a kid back in 2008, so I'm really looking forward to see how they change the formula and modernize it and bring it up to the standard of 2022. And I'm sure you guys will be there to join us for that, because that's definitely one that we're going to be streaming. So make sure you check that out. So there you have it, guys. Those are our top 5 games coming out in January 2023. Hope you enjoyed checking these ones out with us. We're absolutely going to have a blast playing these things when they finally launch. So make sure you're there to check out the streams and stuff, and to keep up with our social medias and to see what's going on in our lives and when we're actually going live. You can check out all of our social media platforms that are listed down there below in the description. Check out our Twitch page as well, twitch.tv/Project SuperVillain. You can find links to everything on there as well. Stay up to date, follow us, and keep up with what's going on, and you won't miss any of the videos, you won't miss any of the streams, and you can check out all of these games coming out right alongside us when the time comes. But that's going to be it for today, guys. So thanks for joining, thanks for watching. Project Dismissed. Peace out. Yeah, hey, buddy. Just so you know, me doing this, so that means you give me Peach for free, okay? So, you give me Peach for free the next time that you see me, because me cool.